Okay, so we all know dogs have a pretty amazing sense of smell, right? I mean, it's kind of their whole thing. But have you ever stopped to think about how it actually works? Like, what's really going on in there? Well, today we're going to go way beyond the basics and dive into the truly mind-blowing science that lets a dog, get this, basically see the world with its nose. And it all starts right here. I mean, look at that. It's just a dog's nose, something we see every day. But that wet, leathery little thing, it's the gateway to a sensory world that you and I can barely even imagine. It's literally a piece of high-tech biological engineering, just hiding in plain sight. So that leads us to the big question we're tackling today. How does a dog actually see the world with its nose? And I'm not just talking about smelling things from super far away. We're talking about how sense can build a rich, detailed picture of the world, almost like it's a completely different kind of vision. All right, so to really get our heads around this super smell, we've got to start at the beginning. The very first step, the sniff. And believe me, it is way more complicated than just, breathing in. It's actually this really elegant three-step process. So first, when a dog inhales, this little fold of tissue inside the nose separates the air. Most of it, it goes straight to the lungs for breathing. But a small portion, about 12%, gets diverted into a special chamber just for smelling. Then, that smelling air swirls around inside this recess that's totally packed with scent-detecting tissue. And finally, here's the cool part. When the dog breathes out, the air doesn't go back out the front. It shoots out through those little slits on the sides of its nostril. And here's why that is so clever. It's absolute genius. As the air shoots out those side slits, it creates this little vortex, this swirl of air. And that swirl actually kicks up more scent particles from the ground and helps push a brand new sample of air back into the nostrils. This means a dog can sniff almost continuously without interrupting the flow of information. It's amazing. But you know that big tuff or sneeze they do after sniffing something really intensely? What's that all about? Well, this Reddit user actually nailed it. They said it's like a palate cleanser for the nose. It's the dog just purging all that old scent information completely, wiping the slate clean so a brand new analysis can start. Okay, so the sniff has successfully delivered the scent molecules. Now what? Well, let's follow them inside, into this incredible labyrinth that is a dog's nasal cavity. And the first thing you need to understand is just the scale of it all. To put this in perspective, the surface area inside your nose that actually detects smells is about the size of a postage stamp. Okay, in a dog, that same surface area can be bigger than an entire sheet of printer paper. Just think about that difference for a second. So how in the world do they fit all that inside their snout? Well, it's thanks to these things called turbinate bones. They're these incredibly complex, scroll-like, spongy bones that create a massive, winding labyrinth of tissue. And all of that twisting and turning is what creates all that precious real estate for detecting smells. And lining every square inch of that massive surface are the scent receptors. Now, we humans, we have around 6 million of them, which sounds like a lot, right? Well, a dog has up to 300 million. It's just an astronomical difference. It gives them the power to detect certain things at a concentration of 1 part per trillion. To put that in perspective, that's like finding a single drop of a substance in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. It's just wild. Okay, so the hardware is obviously incredible, but having all those receptors is one thing. How does a physical molecule actually get turned into a message that the brain can even understand? Well, this is where the cellular machinery kicks in. Every single one of those 300 million receptors is actually a specialized neuron. So when the right scent molecule comes along and clicks into place, it's like flipping a switch. It triggers an electrical signal that zips straight to the olfactory bulb, which is basically mission control for smell in the brain. And here's something that is just incredible. Unlike most of the neurons you're born with, these scent neurons are constantly being replaced every 30 to 60 days. And research now suggests that the types of new receptors that grow are actually influenced by the smells the dog is exposed to. Think about what that means. A drug-sniffing dog, for example, can literally grow a nose that is physically more sensitive to the specific chemicals it's trained to find. It's amazing. Okay, the signal has reached the brain. We're on the final leg of the journey now. And this is where a really recent discovery has just completely flipped our understanding of how dogs experience the world on its head. So scientists were mapping the dog's brain, and they were just absolutely blown away.
They found what they could only describe as information freeways, running directly from the nose, from that olfactory bulb, deep into all these other parts of the brain.
And yeah, some of these freeways made sense. They saw connections to the parts of the brain for emotion and memory, which, okay, that checks out. But then they found it. A massive, previously unknown superhighway connecting the sense of smell directly to the occipital lobe. And what does the occipital lobe do? It processes vision. And this quote from Pip Johnson, the lead researcher, just sums it all up. This is the first ever anatomical proof of how dogs literally see the world with their noses. This connection is the reason a blind dog can still play a perfect game of fetch. Its brain isn't just smelling the ball, it's using that scent information to see where it is. Smell and sight are wired together.
But believe it or not, the story doesn't even end there. It turns out the dog's nose has a couple more secret senses, some surprising tricks that go way beyond what we normally think of as just smell. First up is something called the vomeronasal organ, or the VNO. You can basically think of it as a second nose, tucked away in the roof of the mouth. Its whole job is to detect things like pheromones and other chemical signals. You know when you see a dog lick a spot on the ground and then kind of chatter its teeth? What it's doing is physically pushing those molecules up into this VNO for a much deeper analysis.
It's a really powerful tool for social communication. But is that the nose's only secret? Nope, not even close. Okay, this one is just fascinating. That wet, cold tip of a dog's nose, it has a name, it's called the rhinarium. It's absolutely packed with special nerve endings. And get this, they can detect weak thermal radiation. In other words, dogs can literally smell heat. It lets them sense the faint body heat of small animals nearby, even if they can't see them. So, after hearing all of that, it's pretty easy to feel like our own sense of smell is, well, pathetic in comparison, right? But what's interesting is that recent science shows the story is actually a little more nuanced. So let's see how the humble human nose actually stacks up.
It turns out it's not really a competition of who's better, it's all about specialization. Studies have shown that we humans are actually more sensitive than dogs to certain smells, particularly the ones found in things like ripe fruit, which makes sense for our ancestors, right? It's how they found food. Dogs, on the other hand, are tuned to be way more sensitive to the specific acids found in the body odor of their prey. Each nose is just perfectly designed for its own survival playbook. And that kind of brings us to a final, pretty interesting thought. Research has actually shown that with practice, humans can learn to track scents through a field, kind of like a dog. Just, not nearly as well. But it makes you wonder, right? If our sense of smell isn't broken, but just a tool we've neglected, what does that mean? What kind of stories, what whole dimensions of the world around us are we missing out on simply because we've forgotten how to pay attention?